Welcome to the WaltFootball.com podcast. This is episode 3 of 4. We're doing our Week 11 NFL picks against the spread. Joined once again by Jacob Kamiker from the Sporting News. Jacob, how are you, and how's your Week 10?
I'm doing great. My Week 10, like compared to Week 9, it was like this like rising from the ashes like a phoenix. I went 7-7, so that should just tell you about how well I did in Week 9. But yeah, I went 7-7. Felt like I should have done better. I had the Browns -4, so Nick Chubb not running in for that touchdown at the end. Really, thanks for that. That was very frustrating to watch happen. And then in the Cardinals game, they chose not to kick the extra point, which cost me a push there because I had Cardinals -3. I know you had Cardinals -2.5. So that's a decision that I never understand. Like, I get it. Like, all right, maybe it'll get blocked, but why wouldn't you just, in that case, then run a play from the 2-yard line? And if it's not there, then throw it away. Like, you should go for the conversion, because on the off chance that something goes wrong on the kickoff, or like you somehow commit a stupid penalty and they get into field goal range, they could win. Like, it's a tiny percentage, but it's still a percentage point. So anyway, those two decisions hurt me. I was wrong on a few things too. Like I was wrong on the Patriots. I should have seen the Belichick having figured things out coming. And, you know, Baltimore also lost their nose tackle in game after having lost Calais Campbell, so they couldn't defend the run. So, you know, there was some stuff out of my control. There was some stuff I missed, but I feel pretty good about how I capped things. So hopefully this week will be good too.
Yeah, that Cardinals game is so tilting. Like, I bought down to 2.5, and like to make matters worse. And when that Hail Mary happened, well, first of all, the Cardinals were up by 3 like the entire second half. It felt like, or at least the fourth quarter. And then Buffalo got the touchdown after doing nothing the entire fourth quarter. And then you know, it felt like you lost. And then Kyler Murray threw that Hail Mary. And I looked at the score. I'm like, oh, man, it's only 2. And then I saw there were 2 seconds left. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to win this. I was like, please don't miss the extra point. And then then Kyler Murray takes the field. I'm like, they're going for 2? And then they kneel down. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is like the worst. This is like the most feel bad beat. Like, I understand the logic behind it. I agree. I think you probably should like try to run it in or something. I don't know. Yeah, I can at least understand it. Also, kind of got a little screwed betting wise on the Redskins, because I had +3, but it was like +3.5 the whole week. And then so if you combine those two things, like we would have had a winning week if we got the right numbers. Instead, we went 5-8-1, but in the Super Contest it went 4-1, so I can't really complain about that. So yeah, I didn't really like last week's card. Like we were talking beforehand before we had to submit our Super Contest picks. Like I just didn't feel anything. Like it felt like there was like no real edges. I felt like until we got some news on Arizona and then Detroit. So I faded those two teams, or faded Buffalo and Detroit. But yeah, I mean, this card I think looks a little more promising, but I might change my mind later. What do you think about this card before we begin with our picks?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid one. I think anytime you get the pre-Thanksgiving week, there's always going to be some motivational edges because you have a lot of teams playing on Thursday, so that can impact the games. So I think that's helping us a little bit. I think there are some injuries we can capitalize on too. I will just say that I'm very glad the Bears are not playing this week, because I am very sick of their line looking good and them failing miserably because they can't do anything on offense. So I'm very angry at the Bears, and I will be the rest of the season. They've been nothing but trouble for me this year. I got like maybe one of their games right, and everything else has been wrong.
Yeah, I think I've been more wrong about the Bears than any other team this year. I think I'm like 2-7 against the spread, even though I called them as overrated when they're 5-1, and yet I'm still 2-7 against the spread picking the Bears games. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad they're off the card. Although I'm rooting for their under 8. I think it's under 8. Or maybe 8.5. I can't remember. It looked dubious when they're 5-1, but now they're 5-5. So it looks like it's going to be good. So anyway, please hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or the like button or notification bell, or share this with someone who likes football. It would mean a lot to us. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, which like isn't a huge number, but we just started this channel recently, and a lot of people don't know about it yet. So that'll be really cool if you could like it or share it. That'd be awesome. Anyway, we have our first game, which is like, it looks like a great Thursday night game. Cardinals at the Seahawks. This line open up Seahawks -5. It's all the way down to 3. So who do you like in this game?
I'm very much looking forward to this game. I kind of like the Cardinals in this one, though. I think that I think we're starting to see something emerge with the Seahawks. Something's clearly wrong there. I don't exactly know what it is. I know they're dealing with a lot of injuries. They obviously don't have their running game right now. Chris Carson's been out. Carlos Hyde's been out. And they've had to rely on DJ Dallas and Alex Collins and Travis Homer. And, usually that wouldn't matter too much. But for a team like the Seahawks that relies on their running game to open things up for their aggressive passing game, I think that has mattered. And I think you've seen where it hasn't been there as much recently. Teams have been able to tee off on Russell Wilson and really just work the interior offensive line and get pressure in Wilson's face that makes it hard for him to scramble out of. So I think we saw the Rams do that a lot with Aaron Donald, and Wilson's just been making some uncharacteristic mistakes as well. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, if he's just not on the same page with his receivers, or if he's tired of being under pressure, or if the pressure of a tough division is getting to him right now. But I know the Seahawks, they need to stop the bleeding here. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do it against the Cardinals. I don't know if they'll lose this one outright, but the Cardinals match up pretty well on offense against the Seahawks defense, which has been a major underachiever given the personnel they've had. They also have injuries in the cornerback group that I don't know if they're going to be resolved by Thursday night. And I just think Kyler Murray is going to be able to take advantage of that. He can run like crazy on teams. He finds open receivers all the time. So I'm seeing a field goal game in this one. We're getting a field goal spread. Again, I could see the Seahawks winning, but I think the Cardinals currently might be the better team. At least they are on offense with how they're working. So I'm going to be on the Cardinals here. I just think the injuries to the Seattle offense are too problematic, and they may be on to their third center. Jamarco Jones might have to play if Ethan Posick and Kyle Fuller, not the cornerback, the center, are both out on Thursday. So that's going to be something big I'm watching. If they're down to their third center, that may really impact Russell Wilson more. So I'm on the Cardinals right now. I think this game will be close, but I'll always take the dog if I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, it makes sense. Remember when Russell Wilson was the huge favorite to win MVP, and like now he's not even the favorite to win MVP. It's kind of crazy how things have changed the past couple of weeks. And we both had Seattle last week for big plays, and I really thought that Russell Wilson would come back off a loss, and he didn't play that well at all. And it's not just like, you could point to the Rams defense and they're great, obviously, but it was more than that. Like, it looked like Russell Wilson was kind of like mentally checked out. It was so weird. Like, there one play, it was a 3rd and 4, like a crucial 3rd and 4 late in the game. And then he had the delay of game penalty. Like, how's that happen? And then also he had to run out of bounds at one point with the clock ticking down, and he didn't run out of bounds. And at that point, so I'm not a big fan of Troy Aikman as an announcer, but he said something I completely agreed with. He said, quote, he's not totally in tune with what's happening in this game. And like, when have you ever heard that about Russell Wilson? Like, it just feels like something's like mentally wrong with him right now. Like, who knows what's happening in his personal life? Like maybe a family member's sick, maybe something is going on, otherwise, I don't know. But it just seems like Russell Wilson's not all there right now. And, that could change at any moment. Like maybe he comes out and torches the Cardinals this week. Like he could definitely do that. But like right now, I need to see Russell Wilson have a sharp game, which he hasn't done. Like he's just played so poorly the past 2 weeks. Like uncharacteristic turnovers. He threw way across his body for that interception after Jared Goff fumbled. It just doesn't look right. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Normally I'd be on Wilson. He's 23-11 and gets a spread off a loss since the second year. So it's kind of scary to bet against him. But the way he's playing right now, I would think that Arizona is going to win. So I agree with you on this first pick.
Yeah, it's kind of almost reminiscent of how Josh Allen had like a really poor 3-game stretch in the middle of the season, and then he snapped out of it. I know there was some injury concern possibly with Allen. I think it was a shoulder that was possibly bothering him. So maybe that's a little bit different. And, if Wilson is hurt, like I don't know how when it might have happened, but then if he heals, he'll be fine. But I'm not going to trust him, at least against good competition like the Cardinals, until I see him back to his form, which, like you said, it could be at any point. Like he could come out this week, and Devin said that the Cardinals have a depleted defense. Totally agree with that. The Seahawks could easily put up 37 points on this team. But I do think that I don't think their defense can stop the Cardinals enough to cover this spread.
Yeah, Seattle's pretty depleted too. I mean, they're missing two of their top corners. You mentioned their two centers. Some other players. KJ Wright was injured, so we'll see. I mean, maybe things changed on the injury report that maybe make me change my mind about this pick. Right now, I'm going with Arizona. Not confident though. I don't think I'm going to bet this game.